The fluorescent lights of Lincoln High buzzed overhead as I adjusted my glasses and smoothed down my cardigan. 28 years old, and I looked like every stereotypical substitute teacher who'd ever walked through these halls, nervous, unprepared, trying too hard to blend in. Perfect. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. My name is Marcus Chen, and 3 months ago, I was Staff Sergeant Chen of the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment-Delta. Today, I was Mr. Chen, temporary history teacher, complete with a slight stutter I'd perfected and a tendency to fumble with the projector remote. "Class, please settle down," I said, pushing my fake glasses up my nose as 32 17-year-olds filed into room 204. The real Mr. Patterson was out with pneumonia, and I'd volunteered for this assignment not because I needed the money, but because I needed the normalcy. 6 months of mandatory psychological leave after Kandahar had me climbing the walls. Teaching seemed like therapy. What I hadn't expected was how much these kids would remind me of the young soldiers I'd trained overseas. The same energy, the same mixture of bravado and vulnerability, the same potential. "So, I stammered, consulting my notes with theatrical uncertainty. "We're covering World War II today." The European theater. A paper airplane sailed past. "May we head?" Snickers erupted from the back row where Jake Morrison and his crew held court. Jake was the classic alpha 6'2" linebacker build, used to being the biggest threat in any room. His father was some hotshot corporate lawyer who'd bought the kid a new Mustang for his 17th birthday. "Sorry, Mr. Chen," Jake called out with mock sincerity. "Accident." I bent to pick up the airplane, playing up the awkward teacher role. That's okay. These things happen." More laughter. I was nailing the performance. The morning progressed predictably. Jake's crew made noise during my lecture about Operation Overlord. They accidentally knocked books off desks. They whispered just loud enough for me to hear comments about my girly voice and how I probably got beaten up in school. If they only knew. By lunch, word had spread through the school's gossip network. The substitute was a pushover, an easy target. By afternoon, I had Jake's group plus half a dozen wannabes testing my limits. "Mr. Chen," Jake said, raising his hand with exaggerated politeness, "I don't understand how those soldiers at D-Day weren't scared. I mean, I'd probably wet myself." His friends exploded with laughter. I nodded earnestly, completely missing the insult they thought they were delivering. "That's actually a great question, Jake. Fear is natural. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite fear." The laughter died down slightly. Jake looked annoyed that I'd taken his bait seriously. It was 2:47 p.m. when everything changed. I was writing dates on the whiteboard when the first gunshot echoed through the hallways. Not the sharp crack of a firecracker or the pop of a car backfiring, the distinctive report of a 9mm pistol. 3 more shots followed in rapid succession. The chattering stopped instantly. 32 teenagers turned to look at me with sudden desperate hope that I'd tell them it was nothing, that I'd explain it away. Instead, I was already moving. "Everyone on the floor now." The stammer vanished from my voice like it had never existed. The command came out sharp, authoritative, impossible to ignore. "Away from windows and doors." The kids scrambled to comply, their teenage bravado evaporating in seconds. Jake Morrison, who'd been lounging in his chair like he owned the world, was now pressed against the floor with his hands over his head. I killed the lights and moved to the door, my movements fluid and purposeful. The bumbling substitute was gone. In his place stood someone else entirely. "Mr. Chen?" whispered Amy Rodriguez from near the supply closet. She was one of the quiet ones, got straight A's, planned to study engineering at MIT. "What's happening?" "Active shooter," I said, simply checking that the door was locked. Stay calm, stay quiet, do exactly what I tell you. Another burst of gunfire, closer this time. Someone screamed in the hallway high, terrified. Cut short. I pulled out my phone and speed dialed a number that wasn't in any normal contact list. It answered on the first ring. Blackwater Base. This is Phantom 6. I have 32 civilians in classroom 204, Lincoln High School, Denver. Active shooter situation in progress. I'm going dark. Copy Phantom 6. QRF is en route. ETA 12 minutes, 12 minutes. Might as well be 12 hours. I moved to my desk and opened the bottom drawer. Hidden behind a false back panel was something that definitely wasn't school supplies. A Sig Sauer P320. Loaded and ready. Old habits, Mr. Chen. Jake's voice cracked slightly. You have a gun? Stay down, I ordered, checking the hallway through. The door's narrow window. Two figures in black tactical gear moved past, heading toward the cafeteria. They walked with purpose, weapons raised. This wasn't some disturbed kid with his father's pistol. This was coordinated, 3 shooters minimum. Probably more. Military-style gear, disciplined movement. This was a professional operation designed to maximize casualties. The intercom crackled to life. Students and staff, this is not a drill. We are in lockdown. Barricade your doors and... The announcement cut off abruptly, replaced by static. Listen carefully, I said to my students. My voice calm but absolute. We're not waiting for rescue. We're going to move to the library. It has better cover and multiple exits. We move together, we stay quiet, and nobody plays hero. Understood? 32. Heads nodded frantically. Jake, you and Tommy take point behind me. Amy, Sarah, watch our 6. Everyone else, stay low and follow exactly where I step. Jake stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Mr. Chen, who are you? Someone who's going to get you home safe. I cracked the door and listened. Footsteps echoed from the main corridor, but the side hallway was clear. Time to move. We slipped out single file, the students following my lead with surprising discipline. Fear had stripped away their teenage attitude, leaving them focused and obedient. I'd seen the same transformation in young soldiers facing combat for the first time. Halfway to the library, we heard it, the distinctive whine of a commercial drone, low and getting closer. I stopped the group with a hand signal and pressed. Against the wall. What is it? Whispered Tommy Burke. Reconnaissance drone, I muttered, watching the small aircraft drift past the window. They're mapping the building. This wasn't random violence. This was tactical, planned, the kind of operation that usually had a specific target, or objective beyond simple carnage. The drone disappeared around the corner, and I motioned the group forward. We made it another 20 feet before the explosion. The blast came from the direction of the main office, a sharp, controlled detonation that shook the building's frame and filled the air with dust and debris. Emergency lighting flickered on as the main power died. Breaching charge, I said, more to myself than the students. They're after something specific. We reached the library without further incident. I positioned the students behind the circulation. Desk and heavy bookshelves, creating overlapping fields of cover. The room had 3 exits: main entrance, fire door to the parking lot, and an emergency exit that led to the gymnasium. Stay here, I ordered. No matter what you hear, don't come looking for me. Mr. Chen, wait. Amy grabbed my sleeve. You can't go out there alone. I looked at her, brilliant, determined, with her whole life ahead of her. Then I looked at all of them. Jake the bully, now scared and small. Tommy the class clown, clutching his phone with shaking hands. Sarah the artist, eyes wide behind her purple-framed glasses. Kids. Just kids who deserve to see tomorrow. I'll be back, I promised. The hallway was a war zone. Emergency lighting cast everything in hellish red. Smoke drifted from the administrative wing, and I could hear the distinctive chatter of automatic weapons fire from multiple locations. I moved toward the sound, keeping to the shadows, every sense heightened. This felt familiar in a way that both comforted and terrified me. I'd sworn I was done with this life, done with violence and tactical situations, and split-second decisions that determined who lived and died. But these were my kids now. My responsibility. I rounded the corner toward the main hallway and saw them, 3 figures in full tactical gear, moving in perfect formation. Professional-grade weapons, coordinated hand signals, disciplined fire control. These weren't domestic terrorists or disturbed students. They were military, or former military. I shadowed them, staying 50 feet back, watching their patterns. They moved like a Delta team, which meant they'd been trained by people like me. Maybe by me, they stopped. At the trophy case outside the gym, the lead figure planted another breaching charge while the others provided security. I realized what they were after the time capsule ceremony scheduled for next week. The one where half a dozen military contractors and former Pentagon officials would be speaking. This was a preemptive strike on a future target. Scout the building, map the defenses, test response times. The students were just collateral damage and a dry run for something bigger. That ended now. I moved into position, using skills I'd hoped never to need again. The first operative never saw me coming, a clean blood choke that dropped him in seconds. I stripped his weapon and radio, then moved on the second. The third man turned, just as I reached him. Our eyes met through his tactical mask, and I saw recognition flicker there. He knew what he was looking at, a predator recognizing another predator. "Stand down," I said quietly. Instead, he raised his weapon. The gunfight lasted exactly 17 seconds. When it was over, 3 hostiles were neutralized, and I was alone in a hallway that smelled like cordite and failure. I keyed the captured radio. "Control, this is team leader. Package is secure. Beginning extraction." A voice crackled back. "Negative, team leader. Mission parameters have changed. Eliminate all witnesses and extract." I crushed the radio under my heel. Sirens wailed in the distance. The cavalry was finally coming. I stripped the tactical gear from the bodies and scattered their weapons, making it look like they'd turned on each other. By the time I made it back to the library, I was Mr. Chen again, rumpled, scared, clutching a fire extinguisher I'd grabbed from the wall. "Thank God," Amy breathed when she saw me. "We heard gunshots and it's over," I said simply. "SWAT is here. We're safe." The next few hours were a blur of paramedics, police interviews, and concerned parents. I gave my statement with the same stammering uncertainty I'd shown all day, just a substitute teacher who'd hidden in a supply closet, while someone else dealt with the threat. The official report stated that 3 unidentified gunmen had infiltrated the school as part of a terrorist reconnaissance mission. They'd apparently suffered some kind of internal conflict and killed each other before they could harm any students or staff. No motive was determined. The investigation remained ongoing. Jake Morrison found me in the parking lot as parents were picking up their children. His Mustang sat gleaming under the security lights, but he made no move toward it. "Mr. Chen," he said quietly, today you were ... different?" I suggested. He nodded, studying my face like he was seeing me for the first time. "You saved us, all of us." "We saved each other," I corrected. "You followed orders when it mattered. You kept your classmates calm. That takes courage." Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Who are you, really?" I adjusted my fake glasses and smiled the same uncertain smile I'd worn all day. "I'm just a substitute teacher, Jake. Someone who believes every student deserves to go home safe." It wasn't technically a lie. 3 weeks later, I was still at Lincoln High. Mr. Patterson's recovery was taking longer than expected, and the principal had asked me to stay on. The students treated me differently now, with respect, curiosity, and something approaching awe. Jake Morrison had quit the football team and signed up for junior ROTC. Amy Rodriguez started a school safety committee. Tommy Burke stopped making jokes about veterans and started volunteering at the VA hospital. And me? I kept teaching history, kept stammering over the projector remote, kept pushing my fake glasses up my nose. But sometimes, late at night when I was grading papers, I'd catch myself smiling. Maybe this was what normal looked like. Maybe this was how warriors found peace, not by abandoning their skills, but by using them to protect something worth protecting. The real battle wasn't in some foreign desert or urban battlefield. It was right here, in classroom 204, fighting for the future one teenager at a time. My name is Marcus Chen. I used to be Delta Force. Now I'm something better. I'm a teacher, and that's exactly who I'm supposed to be. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.